For this question, we'll start with Senator Bramnick. So I believe we've established tonight that the candidates on the stage are supportive of local control of K through 12 education, with parents and locally elected school boards making educational decisions for their own children. President Trump and U.S. Education Secretary Linda McMahon are working to abolish the Federal Department of Education down in Washington, D.C. Should New Jersey maintain its own state Department of Education?
Well, we take a look at what they're doing. Right now, unfortunately, they're setting so many mandates. They're putting handcuffs on teachers. There's so many reports that these schools have to give to the education department. Seems like a waste of time to me. Well, we go in and we see, and this is why I believe that you do a forensic audit, you do a smart audit, and I physically go down there just the way I built my law office, and I go, okay, let's see what you're doing. And if it doesn't make any sense because it's meddling in good schools, I end it. But I don't just end stuff. You know, I don't just say, oh, I'm getting rid of the State Department of Education. We'll see exactly whether they bring any positive effect to the schools. I'll keep what's good. I'll get rid of what's bad.
Jack Chitterelli, you're next.
Matt, what matters most is the teacher and the parents. Of course, the curriculum matters too, and we'll change that under Governor Chitterelli when I call for the resignation of all those that sit on the State Board of Education. But considering the fact that it's all about the teacher and the parents, are they doing their job? That's what means the most to performance academically of that student. We don't need 5,000 people in Washington, D.C. Quite frankly, I don't think we need 1,000 people in the Department of Education in the state of New Jersey. Yes, we need a curriculum, a standardized curriculum when it comes to things like reading, writing, and math. But what matters most is the parent and the teacher. That's what impacts that student most.
Ms. Badia.
I support 100% President Trump's call to abolish the Federal Department of Education. Absolutely. We don't need the feds telling us how to run our education system. That said, I believe we need a very strong Department of Education in New Jersey, one that protects parental rights, one that makes sure that school choice is implemented, one that makes sure the curriculum is about actually educating a student. We need to protect parents in all school districts from the pronouns and the propaganda that is ruining our very good school system. So I want the Department of Ed to be a watchdog for education.
Laura, if I may, again, this is another contradiction. In 2023, he supported the state senator from Monmouth County, who's a Democrat, that is the chair of the Senate Education Committee, that's put in all the changes that he's now opposed to. So, you know, again, will the real Bill Spadia stand up?
Hey, you know,
Jack,
you
know that's a total lie.
30 seconds.
Even you know that's a total lie. It is true. I am friends with Senator Vin Gopal. You know what's okay in New Jersey? To have friends who are Democrats. It's all right. Oh, man. Can you believe this guy?
John Bramnick, before
Silly.
we move back to
Well, on the Judiciary Committee, I watched the appointments to the State Education Commission. And once again, what the Democrats do, they take political philosophy and make that the litmus test, as opposed to education experience. What we should do as Republicans is make sure the people we're putting on all of these education commissions or in the Department of Education are experienced in education, not in politics. And the Phil Murphy administration has concentrated on politics. That's why we're in this situation where people are very upset in terms of mandates from Trenton.
Matt Rooney has a follow-up.
Mr. Spadia mentioned pronouns and propaganda. If we do keep a Department of Education in New Jersey, what should its specific role be in the classroom?
In my judgment, the most important thing is that teachers have the ability to reach children. Every child has the ability to be successful. So the entire philosophy of my administration is, how do you reach that child? How do you make that child have confidence? How do you make that child feel good about themselves? How do you teach that child those basic skills to be successful? Everyone I know who is successful, who maybe started out with a confidence problem, had a teacher who told them, you're good, you're gonna do well, you're gonna be successful, and they got behind them. And that's what education is about, making children feel good about themselves and making sure there's a path to success.
Jack
Every
Chitterelli.
time.
Matt, I feel very strongly there should be one standard across the state. What is aptitude? What is aptitude for reading, writing, and math for a fifth grader? for a 6th grader, for a 7th grader, for an 8th grader. And the reason why we need to do that each grade is because we need to get academically rigorous again. There was a time when we held children back. That wasn't punitive, that was in the best interest of the child. So I believe the primary objective of the State Board of Education is to determine aptitude for reading, writing, and math at every single grade level. And that should be a standard across the state. It shouldn't be less in one school district versus another.
Bill Spadea.
As I mentioned earlier, the State Board of Ed has to be a watchdog to protect parental rights. We have had a situation with the Attorney General going after parents and going after boards of ed who pushed back against parental rights. What we have to do is get an attorney general that is in place that supports parental rights, supports school choice. The state board has to be the watchdog to prevent the assault on parental rights, which we have seen now over the past 10 or 15 years. It spanned both parties, sadly.